What's up, y'all? We have another Breaking Bad boxing preview and prediction here for you. We have a pretty interesting clash here between Stephanie Han and Holly Holm. We have the 35-year-old WBA World Lightweight champion, Stephanie Han. 11 wins, 0 losses, 3 of those wins coming by way of knockout versus the 44-year-old preacher's daughter, Holly Holm. 34 wins, 9 of those wins coming by way of knockout, 2 losses, 3 draws. We have the Southpaw in Holly Holm, and then we have the Orthodox fighter in Stephanie Han. As we know with Holly Holm too as well, she took a 10-plus year hiatus from boxing to go fight in MMA and the UFC. She had a damn successful career in the UFC, became a Hall of Famer in that regard. And she's just been an overly actively fighter. So the age factor, I don't think plays as high of a number in this case, especially since she's fighting a 35-year-old. And Holly Holm just seemed to have great shape in her last fight versus Yolanda Vega as well. You have the Orthodox versus Southpaw fighter. You have the 9-year age gap. This fight's very interesting from the fact that you have someone like Stephanie Han, who's a full-time police officer and also a full-time boxer, so a world champion. So in that sense, I don't know exactly how her schedule is going to clash when it comes to this fight. I'm pretty sure she'll be all the way locked in knowing this is her biggest fight yet. And then you have Holly Holm, of course, that everyone's questioning about the age. One thing about this fight that has to be noted too as well, it is 10 rounds, but it's 3 minutes. So we're adding an extra minute to each round comparatively to the 2-minute rounds that we usually see in women's boxing. So when you combine all of these factors together here, you have an interesting clash because you have someone like Stephanie Han who likes to sit on the back foot, likes to pop from the back foot. She's pretty tough and gritty in moments. And then you have someone like Holly Holm who's been there, done that, been there on the big stages, been there in the limelight. She has fought in 5x5 rounds in MMA before, so we know she has great shape and cardio. In her last wrestling match, yes, I went and watched a wrestling match. She showed great explosion in her age, got an early takedown against a multiple-time Olympian or All-American, if I'm not mistaken. She had a great hip toss takedown, and then when she got hip tossed and turned over herself, she continued to roll through it and showed just great explosiveness. Overall, great hips, great clinching. Showed a sick-ass cow catcher in that fight as well, man. Actually very impressive by a 43-year-old wrestler going against someone. These are all things that I think are very important to note for someone like Holly Holm because Holly Holm is showing great conditioning. She's been a fighter for all of this time. And Stephanie Han is someone that doesn't look bad when it comes to cardio conditioning and her shape. She has great shape for 10 rounds to fight. So let's get into the X's and O's of it. I have the notes here, of course, when we have on Stephanie Han. We're going to start here with the champion herself. Stephanie Han versus Miranda Reyes. Did not want to exchange punch for punch with Miranda Reyes. Like to play the odds and evens game. I go first and third, or I go second and fourth. Did a great job using the whole ring. Not great angles, but good movement and good feet. She got cracked bad in either the 5th or the 6th rounds by a long right hand followed by a left hook, and then it caused her to clinch up when she got caught with her back clear against the rope. Held her back against the ropes, like I said, a little bit too much. She has a great rear uppercut. It's a little bit cheeky. She's lacking in defensive exchanges. When she's exchanging in the pocket here with Miranda Reyes, she's getting clipped at a high rate, but she's also doing some good clipping at a high rate too. She's accurate with her punches. She seemed to have trouble putting her offense and defense together. And what do I mean by that? She would sit on the back foot and try to fight defensively, either block and shell or hand fight. And then offensively, she'd let go, stop and start, and put together her combinations. Again, she likes to go first and third, but she's not great at necessarily putting it all together. She wasn't catching shots and then firing off with exchanges. She wasn't blocking and countering. It was really just her either putting together offense or putting together defense. And it was really not blocked together and meshed together very well. She lacks body work, but I really like her stab jab to the body. She threw more of that and put together her combinations on the inside to the body. I think she'd have a lot more of a higher stoppage rate and percentage because she has a little bit of crack to her game. I felt she understood when to clinch early, but used it to avoid the firefight late. She'd be willing to firefight, but didn't spend the whole time in this scrap doing that. She would move, scrap, use the whole ring, then scrap a little bit more. Works best from the mid-range where she can use her hand fighting and her pro bleed hand fighting. It's interesting because she swipes and paws a little bit. It's not necessarily conventional. When she sees punches and jabs coming at her, she'll swipe them and paw them down. Not to sound cliche or any pun intended, almost like cat fighting in a way, how you fight with your cat. Crispy straight left that she can sit on, and I like the way she chambers her hips on her straight left. I wish she threw more combinations and spent way less time going backwards. If she's going forward a little bit more, I think she'd be far more effective. Close fight here with Miranda Reyes. A lot of people in the comments thought she got robbed. I didn't necessarily think that. I actually thought she won this. Stephanie Han versus Paulina Angel. She was dropped by a sloppy, almost chopping right hand in round 1, but she showed a little bit of fight over fight improvement. I felt she put her defense and her offense together far better in this time. She would catch and counter at times, actually catch the punches and punch off of those catches. Her pockets defense was overall still lacking, dropping her guard and holding her chin high. would hold her feet a little bit more. When Angel would pressure and get too close to Han, she had a tendency to overswing and almost commit, almost losing her base. And I think this can be an issue at times for Holly Holm, who's good at shifting off on angles and punching off those angles. Han is often resetting, a little bit of shakeout, a little bit of a bounce step. She has an amazing stab jab to the body, like I brought up in her last fight. Just would love to see a little bit more. In this fight, she brought it out a lot more. It would send ripples through Paulina Angel's body. It was really nice. You could tell there's a little bit of thud to it. She dips her head above her knee when winging her overhand rights, waiting to be uppercutted. Han would catch Angel coming in the front door, no setup and blinders, and meet her with the jab. I really like how when you don't have any setups or entrances coming in on Han, she will jab your face off. She moves back a bit in straight lines, but again, she uses the whole utility of the ring. So when she's moving back in the straight line, she has a moment where she'll stop, reset, and then start moving left and right. I did find this very interesting. Versus Reyes, she would not load up or chamber her left hand whatsoever. The later this fight went here against Angel, she would chamber and load it up, almost being able to tell and read it. Defensively, her head is on a line to be hit, and when she's in the clinch and defensive dirty boxing scenario, she rises her chin up and doesn't seem overly physical. She's very disciplined because even after getting cut and dropped in this fight, she stuck to her game plan. Sit on the back foot, land a few rear uppercuts, take the fight to Angel when she needed to, let off the combinations when she got on the inside with Angel. But on the back foot, I love her rear uppercut. I love that she can float her punches while on the back foot, especially her stab jab, both up high and bow. The one thing I would like to see her do is I would like to see her go forward a bit more. If she went forward a bit more, I think she'd be a little bit more devastating. We know she has a bit of crack, as we saw in her first round knockout against Hannah Turlap. Hannah Turlap we've seen finish, but at least she got a first round knockout and put her out cold in that fight. So what do I like here overall about Stephanie Han? I like her use of the ring. I love her discipline. She can fight at odds and evens going first and third or second and fourth. She has good feet and good movement. I think she holds the overall feet and foot movement advantage over Holly Holm here. Great rear uppercut that she can pull you into. Great stab jab to the body. Good combination punchings when she's letting her hands go. I like her probing and her hand fighting. Again, it's almost like a swiping and a pawing in a way. I dislike about her. She leaves her base at times when she's punching. She can get stuck on the back foot. She doesn't often let her combinations go because when she does let her combinations go, they look crisp and they look really sharp, even though in the pocket she does lack in pocket exchange defense. Her guard hand falls and her chin rises in those pocket exchanges. She keeps fights very close, not a great minute winner. Will hold her back to the ropes at times and often allow opponents to outwork her. Overall, she's a solid fighter, and this is a really good fight between Holly Holm and her. Speaking on the challenger, Holly Holm, the legend herself, I want to make a very quick disclaimer. I only watched the Yolanda Vega boxing match. Over the last 10 years, I've watched just about every one of Holly Holm's MMA fights live, and I did watch her last freestyle wrestling match. The reason I wanted to see this is how is her physicality and how is her shape even at 44 years old? She's an active competitor. The reason for watching the wrestling match was also important in clinch scenarios because there's going to be a lot of moments with clinching between Holly Holm when we talk about her tape and Stephanie Han. There's going to be a lot of clinch scenarios where Holly Holm looked really strong in these wrestling scenarios and in MMA, really strong in a lot of clinch scenarios. I think this is going to be a huge advantage for her over someone like Stephanie Han when they get into a clinch and minimize position and in those dirty boxing scenarios. So it is important to note that I only taped the one boxing match because, again, going back and taping boxing matches from 10 years ago may be doing myself a disservice because that's not the same Holly Holm that we're going to see now. So, versus Yolanda Vega. I loved Holly Holm's angles. She was always angling in and angling out. Her head movement, very stationary. Maybe from the years of MMA where due to head kicks, you really can't keep your head moving off a line as much because, again, you get high kicked and it's over. Great chopping left hand on a smaller opponent. Likes to explode in on an angle and angle out and angle off. Will use forearm frames and land a lead right hook off of these forearm frames. She'll punch, get inside in these clinch scenarios. Like I said, dirty boxing clinch scenarios where she'll either grab underhook or grab some forearm frames and punch off of these scenarios. Again, Holly has a tendency to enter the fight with some shots, frame, clinch up, slow down the fight. She really built into this fight versus Vega. By round 6, she really found the timing on her left hand and was landing the right hook off of her left hand and vice versa. Right hand to the left hook. She is a southpaw, so she leads with her right hand. One thing is that straight left hand could not miss versus Vega after round 6. I do think Holm has a tendency to rush her work a bit and lose her base. I think it's funny as both these fighters happen to lose their base at times, but Holly Holm can really lose her base. She collapses her feet, often carries her hands a little bit too low, mixed in with the switch stances. I think it's going to show something that Stephanie Han, who has that sneaky rear uppercut, could possibly time and tag on someone like Holly Holm. So be cautious that possibly Stephanie Han can tag her with something cheeky. Holly Holm doesn't really seem to favor any foot position. She's fighting okay on the inside. She's okay with fighting her foot on the outside. She'll square up her base, hold her head past her shoulder. Likes to let her combinations go from the mid-range, get on the inside, dirty box, clinch up, use her frames to punch off of that and angle off. It's really good work, quite frankly, here for her. And again, her combinations when she's punching down, I really like how she has some chopping hands to her. Her volume and pace looked absolutely incredible through 10 rounds. In round 10, she rocked Vega with a cracking overhand left. Best work, in my opinion, when it comes to Holly Holm is she will punch while jousting off of that lead straight hand, come on the inside, clinch, use a forearm frame, catch a right hook while exiting. And then when she gets her head past your shoulder, she'll let go combinations to the body. I mean, what do I like about her? She's very strong in the clinch, great volume as she builds, chopping left hand, angles, baby, angles. She lets her combinations fly. Stephanie Hahn, take note. Good at slowing down the fight with the clinch and minimize tactics, consistent body work. What do I dislike about her? I'm sorry. She hangs her head over her base at times. Sneaky uppercut of Hahn could definitely land, like I stated. Lacks head movement, even more so often than Hahn. Though her angles are great at times, she has way too many moments of sloppy feet, collapsing her base, bringing them together too closely. She started very slow versus Vega. She had to build into this fight. That could have been due to ring rust. That could have been due to just how she fights in general. I think the 3-minute rounds helps her in this case. She throws her lead uppercut from way too far out, and she almost projects it. So Holly Holm and Stephanie Hahn, really good fight just in general here. I think the bookies have the line maybe a little bit off. I think there's a little bit of value in Stephanie Hahn here. But overall, I think Holly Holm's going to be able to slow down the fight with her grinding, clinch and minimize style, the body work she puts together. And just quite frankly here, she lets her combinations go. While someone like Stephanie Hahn, I don't think is a great round winner, has stated she's coming to knock her out. And if the case is that she's coming to knock her out, I'm curious, does she coming out with her hair on fire, blazing? And does she maybe gas herself out with an extra minute to add to each round? Stephanie Hahn does have quite a bit of crack too as well to her. And I'm curious if she maybe touches the chin of the 44-year-old Holly Holm, who has stationary head movement, loses her base at times, and in the end of the day, Father Time is undefeated. I think Holly Holm has held her shape and her base well over time. I think her athleticism and her explosiveness are not lacking whatsoever. I think both of these fighters have their flaws when it comes to boxing. I think Stephanie Hahn here doesn't put out enough work. It's stuck on the back foot. But she's gritty and she's tough and she's willing to scrap. And she does like a scrap. Holly Holm, as we know, loves a scrap. She's just willing to fight. She puts her combinations together, but again, she loses her base and she's just so hittable when her head movement's lacking. I thought Yolanda Vega wasn't necessarily the greatest opponent. I really rate Paulina Angel a little bit higher than I do Yolanda Vega. These are all things that I like to put together and put a note into my final prediction. Overall, I think Holly Holm's going to get it done by decision. I think Holly Holm's going to put together enough work. I think she's going to be going forward more. I think she's definitely going to land the more of the punches. She's going to let her combinations fly is the biggest thing too as well. Where Stephanie Hahn will have a lot of moments of success, in my opinion. That sneaky rear uppercut. I think when she comes in with that stab jab to the body, which is going to be key versus an older Holly Holm too as well. But I like Holly Holm overall to get it done by decision here. I understand an underdog stab at Stephanie Hahn, especially due to the value. But I'm curious to see if we get a good Holly Holm decision line. At anything minus 150 and under, I think it's very playable. So with that being said, y'all, it's love, it's peace, it's chicken grease. I'll see you guys next time.